Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel. I'm Alicia, and in today's video I will be setting up all the books that I have read in January, and I will walk you through my feelings and my feedback for the books. But before that, let's do a quick recap of what we did while setting up this journal. I have my reading log, which I have religiously updated. However, I wanted to set up the reading stats with you, so let's go ahead and do that. This is going to be for the month of January. I have read 5 books in total. One of them was physical and 4 of them were audiobook. Out of these 5 books that I have read, I have picked one favorite. I also filled the TBR list with some of the books that have been in my radar. The series tracker, I have updated the series that I want to read this year. I'm going to fill the book bracket with the first book from the 5 that has won, let's say, quote unquote, the book of the month, which will be competing against February. My reading challenge for this month was nothing. I did not read any classics, so my goal is to read 4 classics. I also finished 5 books, and I finished 2 books in February already while I am recording this video. These are some of the lovely recommendations that came from you guys. So if you have read something in January that really stood out to you, let me know in the comments below. I am going to use this collection from Tritopus. This is her latest collection that she launched. I believe it was in November, and it was a collection for traveling, coffee, as well as cozy cottagecore. And I really liked it, so I ordered the whole bunch of the things that she released. So I am going to do my reading journal a little different from what I have done previously. If you are interested to see how I have set up this reading journal, it will be in the card above or in the description below. Also, for the entire year that I have done, well, half of the year, if you know what I mean, my previous reading journal is also updated, and it will be in a playlist, so you can do a full binge watch if you are into it. This great stamp is from Album Love Handmade. She has this Etsy store, as well as she is pretty active on Instagram. I have spoken about her before, and I have used a couple of her washi tapes and PET tapes as well in my previous setting up journals. She mostly does vintage themes, so if that is something of your vibe, definitely go check her out. I will also leave the link for all of these different small business stores that I have bought all this stuff. If you like anything from the setups, they will be mentioned in the description below. I will mention the stores so you can go and check their entire collections and not just 1 or 2 things that I will be using in this video. Anyways, coming to the cover page, I really wanted to use the die cut sticker that came in Tritopus's whole collection. I think there was only one that was part of the whole collection, but she was kind enough to give me that extra die cut sticker for the girl sitting in that sofa and reading, and it is such an apt one for a cover page. And when I saw that one, I was like, yes, this is what I'm going to use for the first setup of 2025. And I really like it because I have this idea in my head that I would love to have a reading nook in my office. I right now have a sofa, which is a sofa plus bed, but of course it is not a reading chair. I don't know if that will be possible because my room is not that big enough, and you would have seen that in some of the videos that I have done previously, but a girl can dream. So that is something that I would love to have maybe in the future. These tiny sticky notes are from Journal Say. I bought them basically because of the color. Like you can see that I do gravitate towards darker earthier shades, more which gives a color of coffee, as this was also very coffee related theme, and I felt that that would be nice to have the 5 books name written on these sticky notes. They were obviously, only sticky on one side, so I used my roller glue to glue them to the entire page. January has been a good reading month overall. I was able to read 5 books, but in terms of reading books that I really loved, I think that is something of a debatable issue. So I will go in depth against each of the books, what I read, what I felt. Of course, it is not a literary review of the book. I never give out plot. I don't really speak of the spoilers. I like to keep it as contained as possible so that if you want to also go ahead and read them, the story is not spoiled for you. However, there are things that I will talk, and maybe some of the books will be obvious, but you may not like what I say. Reading is subjective, so everyone has their own opinions. So let's dive into the reviews without spoiling too much of it. So the first book I read was Artemis by Andy Weir. I have read only one book by Andy Weir, and that was Hail Mary, and I really loved it. I have watched Martian, but I haven't read the book. So that is still in my to-be-read list, let's say. I do want to read a lot of other books that Andy Weir has written. So I was very optimistic about this book. I think the writing in this book was a little bit different compared to what Hail Mary was. Like, I will always recommend Hail Mary. It was amazing. I listened to the audiobook. The narrator was absolutely fantastic, and I think it was one of those reasons why I also enjoyed it so much. But Artemis, the storyline, so I won't go too deep, but it is about a colony in the moon. This colony has all these struggles. There are classes, of course. There are richer people, there are poorer people. Our protagonist is not so much from a well to do family, so she tries to take up these odd jobs, and one of those odd jobs lands her into trouble. And there were circumstances where I felt that she was just being bratty and not listening to what is right and what she should be listening to, like the experienced people. But since she is the protagonist, there were obviously things that finally fell into pieces, so she was able to, let's say, save the day. But the saving of the day would not have been needed if she did not screw up in the beginning. So you see what I mean? Like, there were things that could have been avoided if she was just a little bit smarter and not arrogant and stubborn. Overall, I enjoyed it. Not so much, maybe because I went into this book with very, very high expectations from my previous experience reading other books from the same author. So this was kind of a letdown, but it's not a bad book. The story is good. It's just me having higher expectations, I guess. That was the wrong part, because not all the book is going to be same. I really wanted to use the coffee stickers in this particular spread because I love coffee. There is coffee in the channel's name, and every time I see people releasing coffee stickers, washi tapes, PT tapes, I need to have them because they are such a fundamental theme in my journals. I have so many spreads and pages that I have used using the coffee stickers, and I love them. I'm never going to be over coffee ever. Hopefully not. In the corner, I wanted to have this quote from the book, and it says, "A clumsy, awkward success is still a success." And that kind of tells you a lot about the protagonist of the story. She is a fun character. She has her moments, but I still feel that she was more on the bratty side than being on the fun side. I gave this book a 3.5 star, and I think that is apt in terms of my feeling of this book. It was enjoyable. There were times that I felt it could have been better, but like I said, my expectations were very high from the author. The Project Hail Mary was published in 2021, and Artemis came out in 2017. So of course, the author have been better in 2021. So he had time to work on his projects and to improve on his writing skills. He got maybe a lot of feedback, and that shows. And that's why I love how the transition happened, and I will always recommend, like, for this book also, I would recommend you can definitely go ahead and read it, but maybe Hail Mary is better in my personal opinion. Moving to the next book, this is going to be Christmas at the Cat Cafe by Jessica Redland. This was a pick that I got in December, and every time December comes, I am a Hallmark movie girl. I love watching those movies, even though you know that they are trash. They have no story. You know what is going to happen, but it is that feel good factor. It is that charm of holiday season, and this book is one of those feelings that was there when I was reading it in January. So I got it for free on Audible. I was not going to pay for this book. So the title of the book definitely was an eye catcher for me because I love cats. I would love to own a cat cafe one day, but I do know that there are a lot of legal stuff that comes into picture, and it is not easy, and I am not someone who has the knowledge or the passion to open up a store like that. Maybe a stationery shop, I don't know. I do have my own store, so the stickers that you are seeing, the star stickers, are from my own store. So if you want something to check out, it will be mentioned in the description below. However, a cat cafe, I'm not really sure. It is going to be expensive. There are a lot of legal implications. I don't want to get into that. I do have one indoor outdoor cat, and he has featured in my videos before. There are 2 backyard cats that I have, and I also want to get 2 more indoor only cats. So I already have enough cats that I can live with. So this title of the book definitely sold me in it. And the story, as you can imagine, is one of those Hallmark movie stories. This girl comes into an inheritance, and she always wanted to own a cat cafe. She comes into this inheritance from her grandmother, and it was her grandmother's wish also that she comes up with something independently. She starts investing into this place. Unfortunately, she gets diagnosed with fibromyalgia, which is a non-progressive chronic pain condition. So she talks a lot about her situation and how some days she is well to function a normal human being, but there are days when she is so bedridden with the pain that she literally cannot think. She faints from the pain. There was something new that I learned. I knew about the chronic pains because there are different forms. Of course, people are in spectrum, but then I didn't know that 1 in 20 people are actually affected by fibromyalgia. So it is not that uncommon. That one bit was definitely a good one. But overall, in the aspect of the book, I will say it was a fun read. Definitely kept me hooked and gave me company during my long commute. And I would recommend if you love cats. Moving to the third read of my month, this is On the Other Side by Carrie Hope Fletcher. This is the first time that I'm reading a Carrie Hope Fletcher book, and I know that she is in this fantasy rom-com kind of side. There were few books that have been very famous, but I've never come across this one before. And I actually picked this one from a bookstore when the bookstore was selling out. Actually, they were changing owners and they put up so many books on heavy discount. So I believe I got this book for probably €1 or €2, so not more than €2. But it was a good find and it turned out to be a 4.5 star. I really enjoyed this book. It kept me hooked. I read it in a physical format and I was smiling and laughing before I went to bed. So it was a nice feeling. And like I talk about my books, like how I feel, I really felt good. So the premise of the story is that Evie Snow, the protagonist, she is a daughter coming from a very wealthy family, and as most of these wealthy families will have, they come with stringent orders in how they represent themselves in public and how they can contain and increase their wealth by marrying off with a similar wealthier family. So Evie wanted to make something of her own life. She wanted to paint, she wanted to be an artist, so she bargains with her mother that she gets 1 year where she can fulfill her dream, and during this year she encounters the love of her life. So they have this really sweet love story, and it just grows from there. But unfortunately she's not able to grow in her career, which was kind of like the bargain that she made, and she had to give up on her love life just so that she can keep peace and she can protect her brother who comes out as gay. So Evie lives a happy life with her best friend with whom she gets married, who's from this other wealthy family. But when she dies, she's not able to pass through the afterlife because she carries all this heaviness in her soul. And the story is all about she going back to the people that she has loved or she have hurt them, and how she manages to relieve this pain from there and making her soul lighter so she can pass through. It was a different concept. I enjoyed it. It was very cute. It was very nice. Of course, some bit is not true. Like, it's a fantasy book. It's nothing is true. But it was very fun. So I really liked it. The writing wasn't childish. If she was a 82-year-old woman that died, so come on, she lived her life. So she had all this wisdom, and I really liked it. I'm an old lady inside, I guess, at this point. Teenagers really annoy me. And if you have a teenager, you will know. Anyway, I will recommend that book if you want to have a nice read before you go to sleep. Definitely go for it. The next book I read was The Glitch in the audiobook format. This was a free audiobook that I got from Audible. This was, however, not a very, let's say, newer concept. So what happens is there is a glitch that happens in the time. So the lady, the protagonist, Grace, she does a time travel back to her past 5 years from her current time. Starts with she failing in her restaurant job, and she wishes that she goes back to the time when this idea kind of generated in her mind, and she uses these crystals in her grandmother's house. And because it was a full moon and there were all the stars aligned, her wish came true. She goes back 5 years to the time when she wins this lottery. She has this idea of opening up her restaurant. She works as a sous chef in a very famous Italian restaurant in London. But as you would know, with the hospitality industry, it is very long hours, so she is not able to move up the ladder. She tries very hard, but she's not been successful. And the turn of events that happens in her reliving her past is that she wins this lottery, but she tries to use it more smartly. She takes advantage of social media where she starts posting her cooking videos and with more close-ups with just her hands, as you would be seeing me writing with just my hand. You will barely see my face, and she does the same. So when she starts doing it, initially all her friends would be like, oh, you need to show your face and all those things, but then she was like, no, I'm going to do this way because I know, I have a feeling that this will be very famous in the future, because she comes from the future. And it was nice overall. I would say fun time, but I think I have read better time traveling stories. So nothing new. It was free, and I would not recommend. I would say just go with something else if you have your time and money to spend. Like, this was free, and still I'm saying, hey, maybe go for something else. Moving to the final book that I read in January, it was Onyx Storm by Rebecca Yarros. This is the third book in the Empyrean series, so the third book from the Fourth Wing series. I loved Fourth Wing. When I first read it, there was, of course, the writing skills, and I have spoken about it in my Fourth Wing review. It was enjoyable. It was not the best, but I loved it. It was very fun. So I gave it a 5-star rating. So imagine. Then I read Iron Flame, and it went down a little bit from 5-star to 3.5-star. And then I read Onyx Storm. I cannot believe how bad this book is. It is such a drag. There were instances, and the narrator was horrible. It was horrible. I read the first two books on my Kindle, so it was obviously the voices were in my head. I gave them different voices and the whole scenario, but oh my god, like I always say, a narrator can make or break your story. This definitely made it worse. Like, the writing is bad, the narrator worse. I listened to the book on Audible, and it shows 23 hours 52 minutes. So it is a 24-hour book. So you can imagine how long that book is. And I did not want to waste a lot of time when I got into it. Look, I did not have a lot of expectations. From what I read from the last two books, I wasn't having any expectations. I knew it was going to be bad. I just wanted to know what happens. But oh boy, it was such a big disappointment. Like, I was ready to be disappointed. I was not ready to be this disappointed in a book. I was so angry in the writing. Oh my god. I know that there are people who loves this series. They have given 5-star even to this silly book. And I know it is subjective. They have loved it. Yes, it is subjective. But in the same subjective manner, I hated it. There were other creators who also reads and does journaling similar to me, and they have read the book and they also say the same thing. I wanted to give it 1 star, but I think I caved in and I gave that extra half star because I was like, yeah, there were one or two parts. Sometimes I would just laugh and chuckle because I found it funny. And there was one scene where I really felt bad for Violet because without spoiling for anybody, there happened something with her dragon, and she is upset, and I feel for her. Like, okay, I have invested my time on this stupid girl So I feel for her. It is not her fault in this scenario. So, yes, I was genuinely touched. But overall, definitely the book needs a better editor. She needs to really improve her writing. I am not a literary marvel, or I have not written a book myself. So I that's the grace I always give books when I read and I don't like, because it has taken a lot from the author to put their words into a book, a novel. But if you are at that level already and you have this whole publishing team, it definitely needs to do better. Yeah. And then the fourth one is also coming out in 2027, I believe. Oh, I don't know. I really don't know. Let me know about your thoughts if you have read the Empyrean series. And what are your thoughts on Onyx Storm? I'll be very interested to know. And with that, we have reached to the end of the video. Thank you so much for joining me today. If you have liked the video, please give it a thumbs up and subscribe to my channel. Also hit that notification bell so you know when every time I post a video or post anything in my community tab, because that's where I will be posting about the giveaways and all the things that goes extra on the channel. If you have watched till the end, please leave a coffee emoji so I know that you have been there till the end. If you have any book recommendation, please leave them in the comments below. Thank you so much for joining. I love you guys so much and I will see you in the next one. Bye!